Hey guys, it's Alani and I'm back with another video. This is my first video after the show day vlog, so I'm so excited to be back. So today I'm doing a Alani X Fit editor's cut of the first podcast that I have ever been on. So ReinventU, which I'm an athlete for, the gym that I work at, I train at, everything. I lived there throughout prep. I went on their podcast, which is run by Adam, my coach, and Kyle, my mentor with everything business, everything social media, everything. So they have been my rocks throughout this prep, and I finally got to go on a podcast with them and talk about everything. How I got to where I am today, how I got to stepping on stage from just being an employee of theirs, how I'm growing my social media. You guys get to hear more insight into my prep from my coach's perspective and more of my perspective that I haven't really shared through the prep series. We also went to the Olympia last winter, and that is when I realized I wanted to compete again. So we talk about that whole trip, my first trip to Vegas with all of them, which was a blast. I'm just so excited to share this with you guys. I had so much fun on this podcast. I didn't know how it was gonna go. Never been on a podcast, never done anything like that. So it was a little intimidating at first, and I got into it and I enjoyed it so much. So let me know if you guys like it as much as I did. But yeah, so let's get into it.
All right, guys, welcome back to the ReinventU Drip podcast. As always, I'm your host, International Kyle, and my co-host is over there, Adam Reich. And today we're joined by probably the most special guest, to us at least, that we've ever had on the show, Alani Long. I'll let Alani introduce herself. She's been working with us since the beginning, since we got started, and we've just seen her grow tremendously in the past 6 months. So, Alani.
I'm Alani. I'm a personal trainer here at ReinventU Gym. Just finished up my second show ever. I got second place on stage, NPC Bikini.
Let them know, when did you actually start working with us?
So I started working here last October. So what is that, like 8 months or so, I would say.
And what were you doing with us in October?
What was your role?
So actually I started off, I visited the gym and you guys were hiring for the juice bar. So I came in for the juice bar spot and started making smoothies for you guys. None of them knew that I worked out at all. I had just competed for the first time that summer.
So has it been a full year since your last competition?
It's been a full year.
When was your last competition?
That was July 3rd.
July 3rd.
That was the last one. That was the first time I
Have
competed.
you released the before and after from your first show to this?
So I haven't posted them, but
you did
I
close
have
friends.
side by side.
I seen the sneak peek.
For whoever hasn't seen it yet, it's a pretty dramatic difference.
It's a pretty dramatic difference, and I mean this prep was a lot tougher for sure. But yeah, it was. I was 19 that show, so I competed in the teen division and open and everything else against all the other women. But yeah, I started working at the smoothie bar, and I remember you came up to me and you were like, Alani, I saw your Instagram. You compete? What the heck? Because I just didn't really bring it up. And you were like, do you want to be a trainer? And I'm like, yeah, I want to be a trainer. That's what I want to do, you know? And I was in the middle of my NASM certification. And then you guys helped me take the training route and then worked up from there.
One thing led to another.
Absolutely.
She's being modest. We looked at her Instagram. We knew she was training, or that she was competing, and that she had some type of.
It was very apparent that you
some type of. We knew that she was into fitness to some extent.
Yeah.
But she was an exceptional employee at the juice bar, which led us to want to, obviously offer, more opportunities, your way. So we were talking before we started filming about capitalizing on opportunities that present themselves, and kind of just touch on your thoughts as being a juice bar employee, but you knew you wanted to be a trainer and kind of grow. What were you thinking when you were in that juice bar position?
I think that's kind of just how my mind works with everything is I'm a little bit OCD, a little bit perfectionist, so I feel like that goes into it a lot, and I feel like I always strive to be the best at whatever I'm doing, because if I'm doing something, why would I want to slack off, So if I'm here and my job's to make smoothies, then I'm going to be the best at it that I can, just because why not? And
I think to this date she's been the best smoothie maker we've had.
I try.
She's been the best in a lot of things that we have.
I mean, it proves to you guys my motivation, my discipline, and I think that's what kind of unlocked the doors to training and going through a prep and everything like that. So if you see those opportunities in front of you and then just take a step, like make an action, I think that's all you really need to do, and you just keep growing from there. Just trying to not ever stay stagnant and just always growing.
So we've worked with a lot of people, obviously, before you, right? And like we were talking about, a lot of people just don't capitalize on the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And they sit around waiting for someone to hand things to them. But with Alani here, we seen her dedication, we seen her hard work. We knew that we had something special because she took pride in everything that she did, and that allowed us to want to bring you up and start training. And then obviously, guys, once she started the training, we invited you to come to the Olympia with us. It was very last minute. And again, capitalizing on opportunities.
Awesome.
By last minute, it was the day before. Hey, Lonnie, you want
24 hours before.
You want to go to the Olympia?
I've always wanted to go to the Olympia.
And without hesitation, she said yes. Without looking at flights, without looking at out talking to anybody, she said yes, and she booked it.
Run people down your thoughts when that happened. So we go ahead.
That was pretty crazy. So I'm only 20, so this isn't something that I've ever really done before. Is just travel on a whim. Like it's always very planned with family.
How does the conversation go? We're like, hey, Dad, or Mom, I'm just by the way, you know?
Yeah, basically. Because I remember I was talking to you guys. I was like, oh, like that's gonna be so cool. And you were like, oh, well, come. And I was like, oh, don't mess with me. Like I will. And then I didn't expect you later that day to be like, come to the Olympia. Or you texted me. You were like, come to the Olympia tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And then I looked at flights and I just booked it.
It was that simple, yeah.
It was a one-way.
Yeah. I remember me and Adam were having a talk. We're like, we're going to go to the Olympia. And we kind of just, Adam was like, we should bring Alani. I think there's potential there. And then I remember I texted you, hey, come. And that was it. You send a flight back. And to be honest with you, I was shocked. You know, a lot of people wouldn't just 24-hour notice come. I remember I told Dad, I said, oh, she booked the flight. She's coming.
Not many people get asked to go to the Olympia. So I couldn't turn it down.
Yeah, it's official. So,
but it was a good experience, right?
Awesome.
You learned a lot. You got to see people that you looked up to.
Motivating.
Gave you serious motivation.
That was your first Olympia, right?
First Olympia.
Walk people through Vegas. First time in Vegas.
First time in
under
Vegas.
20.
First time for a lot of
Under
things.
20.
First time in the Olympia.
Yes, and the energy I remember, the thing that I remember most was walking in there, and it's just packed with people that have that same passion for bodybuilding that you do, and it's just, the energy in there was insane. Like when the guys and the girls would come out, it was just, everybody was like in awe, and you could feel it, and I was like, I want to be up there. And I think just being in the presence of that, I was like, I need to compete again, and I need to get to the Olympia eventually. Like, I think that would just be.
While you're on the topic of seeing the people compete on obviously the stage at the Olympia, right? Somewhere you want to be. I was having a talk with Nick yesterday, and we were discussing, because obviously he wasn't too happy with his placement, right? But the way that I tried to present it to him is that, and you tell me if you agree or disagree, is that if you're not on the Olympia stage and you're not top 5 in the world, right, anywhere that you place in a bodybuilding show is just based on who actually is competing in that show, right? Unless you're top 5 in the world, right? So really, I was saying it's you versus you in every show that you're in until you're at that stage, if that's your goal, right?
And that's what I always say. It's you versus you. Because at the end of the day, like you guys tell me, I mean, you do everything that you can do. And if you check off every box and you didn't leave anything on the table, there's nothing.
And it's a mindset, because you were kind of throwing yourself back by looking at other people that might be entering into the show this weekend, right? And that would kind of discourage you. But what did I say to you? Every single time you would send me a video of a girl or a photo of some girl that was competing, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
No.
Who cares who shows up?
It doesn't matter.
Because at the day of the show, all that matters is that you are the best version of yourself that you can be.
100%. How old was the girl that took first?
20. Did you say 29 or 20?
She was in her upper 20s.
Yeah, she was like 28, 29.
So just look, this is why I say this is so important, that you versus you, and keeping your eye on the prize and not looking outside the realm, because you have somebody that has 8 or 9 years on you, right? You haven't released it yet, but guys, follow and watch along just the transformation that Alani's had in a year. And really it's been less than a year because you took some time off.
Less than a year.
You really didn't start working with, us until probably
January.
on the bodybuilding things, January, right?
We really
And
kicked it up.
Imagine you're 20 years old, placing second, runner up to a girl that has 8 or 9 years on you, right? Probably has a ton more experience in the sport.
On stage. Yeah, she has a ton of stage
right.
experience.
So, it's always should, again, just come back to you versus you, because if you continue with that mindset, those small strides, another 8 years, by the time you're 28, where are you going to be?
That's what I'm excited about. I have time.
And when you look at it, you're probably even ahead of the game, where she was at your age, right? If you continue on the path that you're going, you won't be, way before you're even 28, 29, you'll be a pro, right? You track this progression year after year. Yeah. It's inevitable.
To keep that mindset, I think, if your goal is, which I would imagine, you said you want to make a career out of this, is absolutely. To be in that, top 5 eventually.
I'll go all the way, for sure.
But you want to transition out of bikini, correct?
I want to stay in bikini. We're talking about moving up to wellness, but I feel like I have more of the frame for bikini to go farther in that, and I think I would be happier in bikini. I think I would just enjoy it more, honestly.
Thank God. No.
Yeah, it would be another level of commitment for sure.
Yeah, and I think
But yeah, I mean, you could be successful in any division.
I mean, watching that girl in the bikini division, this past weekend, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've liked as well. Even when
she was serious.
I feel like a lot of the bikini girls that the judges are liking have more muscle on them. Yeah. And I've really been liking that look for sure.
Yeah, they definitely just have. That was the only difference that I seen, was that girl had a little bit more. She was denser. She had more muscle on her.
She had more muscle. Yeah.
Alani's wanting to crack open
a
blue watermelon. Here, let me.
Is that why you haven't opened it yet?
Did you bring that for her?
I had an energy drink.
In how long?
In like 2 months.
Oh yeah, she was trying to cut out,
sucralose.
I'm
so scared.
Yeah. Don't be nervous.
Pinches.
You'll be all right.
That's just the tape.
Inside there, it's just a rubber piece. It's not
the
metal.
Needle's not inside of you.
There's no needle inside you.
That's just the tape. Okay.
The needle comes out. Yeah, you're good. You're good. There we go.
I just learned. On this episode, we watch Alani shotgun a ReinventU.
So run us through real quick. You started the YouTube, like you said, the long form content. You've been doing vlogs. You had a whole prep series, right? You're coming out with one more in the prep series, right?
3 more actually. So I have episode 4 coming out today, and that is 8 days out. And then I have my peak week vlog that I documented all peak week, and then show day. And then Instagram is where you get to see more of my day-to-day life, I would say, like all my stories and everything, physique updates, informational stuff,
and
reels.
The YouTube channel is fairly new. However, it's taken off.
Yeah, it's taken off.
How many subscribers you have so far?
Yesterday when I checked, I had 700.
700 subscribers. And
I started
total views?
19,000.
19,000 views.
Yeah.
For like a 4-week-old YouTube channel.
2 weeks.
2-week-old YouTube channel.
So guys, let's just give you a rundown. Can you give a girl, say your age, or someone coming up that's your age that wants to get involved in bodybuilding, that feels like they got a lot of stuff going on? Obviously, you have more than just bodybuilding. You're more than that. You're in school full time. Yeah. You're editing and filming your own content, right? You're training your clients. You're prepping your own food. You're coming in, working out, right? Still finding time for a social life, right? So how do you juggle all of these things? And what can you tell somebody else out there on how they can manage their time to be able to do multiple things like you're able to do?
Absolutely. I think just prioritizing your time is the biggest thing. And I would plan out my days because it's a lot. I think that was the hardest part of specifically prep, was just being, a lot of people are out of college by the time that they start prep. So doing that while I was in college and trying to balance a social life, like I was on prep during spring break and during, all these times where we're all going out during finals and everything like that, and just going out sober. Yeah, just finding time to fit everything in was difficult, but also kind of keeping your blinders on and not thinking about what you're missing out on, trying to find balance with everything.
How are you dealing with the peer pressure? You got to be getting some type of peer pressure.
Absolutely.
Right?
I mean, if you're a college
You went to Puerto
student,
Rico.
Yes. If you're
on
a
prep.
college student and you're like, oh, no, sorry, like, I can't drink. They're like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're not drinking? It's like a foreign thing. If I were to have cheated, drank, be out on the boat and be like, oh, sure, I'll have like one drink. And then I get on stage and I just wasn't happy with how I looked, I would be so upset at myself for not giving it my all. And I think when people were trying to not pressure me into it, but when people were, when it was getting tough and when I would want to drink or something like that, I would just remember, if I step on stage, I could lose because of that one drink.
So obviously, again, we're talking about peer pressure, staying true to yourself. One of the things that I try to say is, you hear all the time that the most successful people are 1%ers, right? They're 1% of the entire world. So, you know, if you want to be, which everyone says they want to be a part of the 1%, right? But if you're following the crowd and you're out and the majority of the people are drinking or whatever it is, you're clearly not in that 1%, right? The 1% goes against the grain, does something different than everybody else out there, right? So if you believe what you say, right, and you want to be 1%, right, you want to be the 1% of the world, you have to actually follow through. Absolutely. And a good indication that you're doing the right things is that everybody around you disagrees with what you're doing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that? Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a weird thing because there's certain people that I talk to, I mean, outside of the gym, I don't really talk about bodybuilding that much because I do get that reaction a lot. And I think that's surprising to some people because it's a, you know, it's a cool thing. You know, it's your sport. But when you bring it up to certain people, they don't really understand and they don't really want to understand. And they're just like, oh, why would you do that? Like, you look so skinny and you restrict yourself so much with eating. But it's like, this is all temporary and this is what I love to do. And it's, you know, like, this is my sport. So...
And this goes back to like what you can control, right? Because you can't control who shows up on stage, but what you can control is you and leaving no stone unturned, like we talked about, and doing everything feasible that you can for prep to be your absolute best. So if anything outside of that is, you know, not at 100%, that relies on you, right? If you don't place first or top 3 or your goal for that show, that falls back on you. You are in full control of everything that you can take care of. Anything less of that, you know.
Because it doesn't matter what they think. They're not going up on stage. And I think it goes back to mindset, like you guys always say.
It's all mindset, yeah.
Having that mental toughness to be able to be like...
There was a few days you came into the gym crying, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
We had to snap you back into line.
Yeah,
let people know about the breakdowns. You know, life's difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There was a few days.
Anxiety attacks.
A few days we had a crying episode,
For
you know?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's it comes on quick, and I hate crying in front of people. So I remember being in the gym, and I was just, there's really no cause, like I'm fine, and then I just get overwhelmed.
You were juggling with a lot, so like you know you had a full schedule, you had a hard time.
But if you flip that negativity and you look at it like from the angle like, you know, 1% of the world is different from everybody else. So this is actually a good thing that I'm receiving this negative feedback.
Yes.
Because it tells me I'm not in line.
Different.
I'm doing something different. I'm not in line with the majority. I'm not in line with the masses, right? So if you can keep that, you know, and stay true to that, I think it makes it a lot easier. Adam, we got a question for you, man. How did you feel as the coach? Obviously, Adam's Alani's coach. How did you feel when you first started training Alani? You know, did you see something special in her? What did you...
Yeah, because even you and I spoke before she even really got into the full swing of training, and we saw her potential, right? Before there was any talks of competing. That's awesome. You know, you can kind of see somebody's genetic build, their makeup, and where their mentality is at, their drive. And you checked all the boxes. You had it. You know, it was a matter of executing the plan, and she did that extraordinarily, right? She followed everything to the T. There was no meals missed. There was no training sessions missed. Everything was 100%.
And you guys are both taking on more people that want to get involved in the sport, right? You're looking to coach more people.
And
How does
something that
someone
would-
reach out to you for you to find out if they check all the boxes like Alani here?
Well, we created a ReinventU training page called Team RNVNT. Our full intake form is on that page, and the link in the bio. info@teamrnvnt.com is their email address. Or social media, always can find us on there as well. And we're always looking for new up-and-comers just like Alani, who has that mentality and that drive and that motivation to be the absolute best version of themselves.
They believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. So, I mean, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Talk about the times you questioned yourself, the progress that you were making.
Yeah, so that goes back to, I've always been like that. I think a lot about, not as much now, but I used to struggle a lot with confidence and self-image and just kind of believing in myself. And I think that's one of the things that's so cool about this sport. I mean, I've grown so much confidence-wise, and just you grow in your mentality as well. Everything, you get tougher.
Because there was times you questioned.
Yes, so there were a lot of times that I questioned it, like you said, comparing myself to other people,
Right.
that other bikini competitors, other people that were going to show up to the show, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not conditioned enough. They have bigger shoulders. They, like their posing is better, and just comparing myself when that shouldn't matter. And it takes a good coach to tell you, keep your blinders on, check the boxes, do what you can do, and that's all you can hope for.
Right.
Like, I looked my personal best, and I am so happy with that, and that's all I can hope for.
Talk a little bit about the business side of things, like the content creation, right? Like trying to maintain or get exposure in the sport as well, because that's a crucial aspect to, I believe, anything that you do, right?
Absolutely.
Is if you can do anything, you can walk the walk, but if no one knows about it, right?
There's no eyes on you.
There's no eyes on you. You can't really capitalize and turn it into a functional business, right? So how has that journey been for you, trying to get into the swing of making your content and all of these things a part of your daily routine?
I've always loved video editing and creating content. I just didn't really I never really found a passion on what to document until I found bodybuilding, and I was like, this is what I want to do, and I want to do anything I can to make a career out of it. And I think not only taking bodybuilding as far as I can go, but taking the content as far as I can go. Just learning how to document my daily life, show the audience, everything that I'm doing, and be transparent about everything, and show my personality. I think that's what's going to get me to grow the most, and staying on a regimented schedule. I mean, it goes back to, time management and everything. It's a lot with being in college and having classes, and also trying to build up online coaching and personal training and staying on track with my off-season plan. But it's all stuff I love. So yeah, it's a lot to take on, but everything I'm doing is something I have such a huge passion for and love to do. So just kind of,
I think one of the major things you just said, a key point, is showing your personality, yourself. A lot of people in the sport, maybe someone's watching you and they're trying to mimic you or what you do. And I think that's what makes it difficult for content creators, is you're trying to be someone that you're not. You're not really being true to yourself.
at that point,
And what people don't realize is that people resonate with people they have similarities with or have went through similar life experiences. So by being true to yourself, you may feel alone in who you are, but the truth is that everybody on this earth, right, has some type of similarities to somebody, right? Someone with similar past, someone with similar experiences, similar struggles, similar so forth. So by sharing and being true to yourself, you will find your audience, or they will find you, right? And they will resonate with you, and it will make that whole entire process easier. Talking about that, what was the first steps? Because obviously me and you talked about a posting schedule. What made it easy, or what was difficult for you? Was it hard for you to come out of that shell and start showing your personality? Or
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely tough at first because you're in front of a camera and you're not used to that. And what do I say? What do I do? What do I even record? Like that kind of thing. But honestly, it came pretty quickly. I think once I started doing the YouTube videos, I wasn't sure how good I would be at that. Like, I'm like, I don't know what I would talk about. But if you have something that you're passionate about and then you get behind a camera, I wouldn't shut up. Like, I would be editing my own videos and be like, oh my gosh, I'm still talking. So it's just easy once you find something that you're passionate about to kind of let loose a little bit and show that. I think it shines through for sure.
So would you say you're your biggest critic, like when you're listening to your voiceovers? Like, you know, you're hearing yourself, so you start cringing sometimes, and you're like, fuck, like, am I rambling on? Am I doing too much? But, you know, from the outsider, right, that information is useful. What you find, you know, so common or common sense to you, or, you know, it sounds stupid to you, someone's actually looking for that information. So when you're listening, obviously I'd assume you watch your videos multiple times before you post them, right? Do you ever get in your head when you're watching it and second guess, like,
take this part out?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to focus on more with my content is not just, you know, posting my progress, posting my physique, posting coaching, but I really want one of the major goals of my brand to be information and education and getting people into the gym, learning about these things so that they can do them for themselves. So I try and keep my videos as informative as possible and explain those things like you're saying, because it might be what that person is looking for. You know, maybe it's something that they haven't heard before. So if somebody can take even the smallest thing from my video, from a reel, anything, that's what I want to put out there, is getting people comfortable in the gym, especially as a girl in the gym. It's intimidating, and it shouldn't be. So I want to make that an easier transition.
I think that's why you've grown so fast organically. Because people can relate to you. There's tons of females posting training clips on YouTube and Instagram on a daily basis, but it takes somebody that, you know, like yourself, who has going through real life experiences, going through school, working a full-time job, trying to build a training client base, going through her, you know, her prep. It's relatable. Like there's other females that are going through the same events, same situation, and trying and looking up to you, obviously, because your YouTube has grown so fast.
Yeah.
Right?
That's been one of the coolest things is I'll get like 3 or 4 DMs a day from people that I don't know that are just like, you inspire me so much. I've been following along your whole prep series. You've inspired me to want to compete, and just all these things that are so nice, and it's just so cool to hear that from people.
Yep.
People resonate with raw. So like we did a study, like me and Adam, when we were running ads, and the craziest thing is the more organic the ad, the more raw and unedited and uncut that it looks, the better it performed.
Better the engagement, yeah.
And when we would like get these super premium, like overpaid for edits, like, and we thought the video was like production quality, like
the video,
we looked like we paid us.
The video was insane.
Insane. It did shit.
It do horrible.
It did shit. And I think, you know, when we're looking at the data across the board, it's because it gives the feeling that it's not authentic, that it was edited, that you took things out. It's not real. You know what I mean? Whereas when you're just holding the camera up like this, like your vlog videos, and you're getting,
that's why they do
you know,
so well.
it's raw. It's just,
you're not having a camera person follow you around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not staged.
Edited.
It's not staged. Everything is off. Everything is off a whim, right?
Yeah, people I think resonate with that stuff. So
and I think showing even like we were talking about when I would come in here just, you know, overwhelmed and like breaking down, I think showing that side as well. Because, I love this, but there are days where it's hard. There are days I don't want to be here.
And you got to show people that it's not always sunshine and rainbows, right?
Absolutely. And I think being transparent about that and being able to push through that, you know, showing people, like you might not want to go, you might not want to do it that day, but keep pushing.
Something that always impressed me with you, and I tell everybody this, is when we talk about the opportunity presenting itself, mine and your conversations have always been like brief and direct, right? Do X, Y, and Z, right? You've always just taken immediate action. And a lot of people may get caught up and they don't know where to start. They can't do X, they can't do Y, they can't do Z. So I'd imagine you had some research on the back end that you've done on your own, right? When I say, hey, post this, or hey, make this, or do a YouTube banner, right? Like I didn't give you, or we didn't give you like an instruction manual with A to Z, right? So I think a lot of people get caught up and overcomplicate the process, right? And one of the easiest things, it's actually in a boxing movie, one of these guys said this quote that says, what's the biggest lie you were ever told? And he said, the biggest lie I ever told was, it's not that simple. And he said, the truth is it is that simple. Everyone just makes it harder than it is.
Absolutely.
Right? So how would you tell everybody, like, what did you do to learn, to self-educate yourself?
So I think that goes along with, again, how my brain works, and I've always just been pretty independent. And that's something I've noticed with a lot of people is they do struggle with that. They kind of rely on other people to tell them how to do things. But if you want to be successful, figure it out. You know, that we have so many resources. So if you tell me, okay, you need to do this, this, and this, I'm going to go and figure it out. You know, do a Google search, look up YouTube, figure out how to do it, and then just take that step. Because a lot of times, like, it gets overwhelming. You're like, oh, I have to do X, Y, Z, and then if I can't do X, how do I do Y? Like, just take the first step, and the rest falls into place.
Yeah. Our conversations were so brief, just to give you like some insight. Like, Alani would start, I said, you need to post stories. She'll post 2 stories. I'd be like, more. I would literally just write.
You'd be like, where's your stories?
Yeah, more stories, right? Like, so like that is literally the tip. That's the advice. When we talk about it's not that simple. It is, right? It is just like, and you would get discouraged. Hey, I'm posting my same meal every day. And what would I say? Post the fucking meal tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, again.
Consistency.
Like, and it goes along with working out too. I mean, not only the consistency like of social media and working out, that's so important in both realms. Just taking the step. Like you were saying, it's not that, what was the quote? It's not that simple.
That's the biggest lie I was ever told. Is it's not that simple.
That's like what I tell a lot of my training clients is it's not easy, but it is simple. You follow the plan, you execute, and things happen.
It's just a matter of doing it.
Exactly.
Right? But like creating content.
Same thing.
People have the biggest issue with it because they just don't want to get started or they don't know how to get started. But once you just do it,
one step.
Same goes for fitness. Right?
People question you too. Like when you're speaking from a place of like knowledge, like what Alani's done so well is that I've never ever had her question what I told her to do.
She just
fucking does it. And it's like everything falls into place,
that's
right?
That's why she's so
with
successful.
Your prep, with the plan, like everything. You've just always stayed in line when it came to social media. Like you weren't like, oh, well, is this really worth it? Should I be posting this many times? Should I keep filming? Like you never questioned it. You just, how do you turn your mind off and just stay so confident in the plan that you just convince yourself that it's going to work? Because I think that's the major struggle, right? Like with most people is, I know even Adam, when it comes down to training, probably yourself, right? Hey, follow this diet. You know, this is what you're going to train today.
Should I really be eating this? Is this too much food? Just do it. They know what, like you have a social media presence. You've shown, you know, that you know how to coach people. They make those transformations. So why would I question it? You guys are in a place that I want to be. So why would I question it? If you guys are telling me what to do, I'm going to do exactly that. And see how it turns out. And it always turns out exactly
there was not one instance that you ever said, are you sure? Or I don't know. Like you took the information and you ran with it.
I think that is your biggest thing that's going to take you so far in this life is that one, you take advice very well from people that are where you want to be, are that you consider doing better than you, right? Yeah. And you just don't question it, you follow it. And that goes back to earlier in our conversation, we were talking about walking the walk and taking advice from people that have actually done and not just read a book or, you know, heard the information from somebody else. They've actually lived and experienced these things. And that's the kind of advice that I try to take from people. Like, that's why it's so hard. And that's why I say I don't consider myself a people person, is because people have opinions, but they've never accomplished what you want to accomplish. So it's like, how can you give insight? It's just a theory at this point, right? You're just giving me theories because you've never actually been there. You've never actually made $1 million. You've never actually won a bodybuilding show. You've never actually been in the shape that I want to be in. You've never actually, you know, whatever it is in life, right? So I really commend you because that is why I've loved and it's been such a pleasure to work with you because there's been zero pushback. Yeah. It's just been such a fucking easy process.
She's a sponge.
She's a sponge. She is an absolute sponge. Listen, Alani, when I was in Vegas, she was like my little sidekick, bro. We were like running around
without even a return flight home.
No. We booked a one-way.
Dude, we winged it. That's the best. Another thing, man, like you go on vacation with some people and it's just like everything's got to be fucking
What time
robotic.
is this? What time is that? What time is that? I got to pack. What time?
We did everything from go to a Christmas light show to eat at the craziest places to end up in a nightclub. A magic show.
Vegas was cold.
So we usually leave our guests with, you know, what's the best one-liner, something that you always revert to, a piece of advice that you could give somebody that kind of just runs back and forth in your head that you play over and over again that keeps you motivated?
I think the biggest thing that comes to my head with that is discipline over motivation. A lot of people are like, oh, how do you stay so motivated? How do you, stick to your meal plan every day? How do you have the motivation to go to the gym every day? I don't.
Yeah, the real thing is you don't always have motivation.
Yeah. If you rely on motivation, you are not going to last very long.
Yeah.
But if you have the discipline to do it on the days that you don't want to, that's what's going to take you far. In everything, not just the gym.
That's a great one.
Yeah. That is a really good one.
That's a great one.
And it's true. There's so many times I've walked in here, I've seen Alani in here at 11:30 at night walking on the treadmill, and I looked at you and said, "You look like death, right? You look like you're about to fall out." And then I'd wake up in the morning and see her posting a story in here at 6 o'clock the next day. And I know she's on probably a few hours sleep because she goes home, posts a video of her cooking a 1-egg omelet, and she's in here the next morning. So guys, take that one to the bank and deposit it. Discipline over motivation 100% of the time. And just for one more thing, man, where can they find you on Instagram?
At AlaniXFit on Instagram, at AlaniXFit on TikTok.
And we'll put the links down here.
AlaniXFit on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you can get the coaching at
Team RNVNT.
I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Peace out. Bye.
I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe if you did. It always helps me out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.